everyone, this is Lena Kepton with Now She Knows, and I'm here to talk about what everybody has been talking about. And I know that there's going to be a lot of women who don't agree with me, and it's okay, but just hear me out, okay? Just hear me out. So we're going to get into it with why I agree with Fantasia, okay? And about submitting to your man, right? So I know that there's going to be a lot of these that's going to be like, well, I'm not going to submit to him if, he's not doing this and he's not doing that and this and that and the third. And that's just common sense, because why would he be your man? Why would he be your man if he's not doing what he's supposed to do? He should not be your man in the first place, and you should not be entertaining him in that way seriously if he's not doing what he's supposed to do in the first place. So that just knocks that out, period. So that just already knocks it out, because a lot of women, they're like, well, I'm not just going to do that to any man. Of course you're not going to submit to just anybody. And I think that's where women like kind of, people, the message goes right over their heads. They're reading too much into it. I get exactly what Fantasia was saying. And maybe, a lot of women were feeling some type of way about it, especially in the dating up communities. They were like, well, I'm not finna do that. I seen some women felt some type of way about it because I guess Fantasia in her situation with her husband, and some people think that her husband is shady, but I don't know their particular situation. I really don't. I don't know Fantasia personally. I don't know her husband personally. Never met him. I don't know who's paying all the bills. I don't know who makes the most money. I don't know the in and outs of their relationship, but I agree with everything that Fantasia said. When you have the type of man that you want in your life as a woman who's dating up, I think submission is something that just is going to come naturally anyways. So that's why I was a little confused by women in the date up community who was like feeling some type of way about it, because I'm like, wait, hold up, like that's the whole point. Like, that's the whole point of learning how to be more feminine, because some women are just so uptight. They're not used to having a man do for them. And when the word submission comes up, they're just like, oh my God, they just run for the waters. I don't know. Maybe some people have trouble with that word because they think of subordinate. Is that the word? They think of sub means under, and, Latin meaning of sub is under. So it's just like they're thinking that, oh, I'm inferior or I'm under this person. But it's like, if you're going to play that damsel in distress, and you're going to be that woman who's kept, and you're going to be the woman who's taken care of in the relationship, you're going to have to play your role. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have to necessarily, be that all the time in the relationship. But, in the beginning, you definitely want to make it very clear that he's going to be the one who's going to fully be taking care of anything, because that's the whole point of submitting to someone who is able to, especially financially, fully provide and take care of you. So I was really confused. So here's why I agree with Fantasia said when you apply it to the type of standards that you have to call somebody your man in the first place, okay? So submission is natural for women. When we are with a man that we feel not only just comfortable with in a way where it's like, oh, I'm just comfortable with, but no, like you can actually be comfortable with this person. Like you trust him to bring home the bacon. You trust him to be responsible, enough to do whatever needs to get done. You trust him to keep providing. You trust him to not be shisty, or you trust him to that even if it doesn't work out, that it will still work out because you chose a right partner. You know what I'm saying? So submission just comes natural when a woman doesn't have to worry about anything. Like she can actually rest. Like she can actually, she looks to her man, as a guide to lead. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't mean that you're less than. It doesn't mean that you're dumb. It doesn't mean that you are his slave, because that's what submission is. Not slavery. That's actually far from it. Submission is actually freedom, but, we'll get into that. So the next thing is that why I agree with what Fantasia is saying is because I don't think that she was meaning submission like in a toxic way, because first of all, it's not about the toxic submission where a woman is submitting her finances to her man and listening to a man, but he is like, he's nobody. He's making her go 50-50, or he's not paying for anything at all, and she's just listening to him because, oh, that's my man. And no, like, clearly, you know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with being toxic. When it's done in the right way, when you're submitting to the right person, it just means trust. That's all it really means. Submission just means, in a relationship, when it comes to women, it means trust. And even the other way around, vice versa. Like, for women who choose to date down, and that's their prerogative, but if they choose to date down, the man is naturally gonna, if he's in his feminine, he's gonna submit to her. Now, that's not gonna work out, hence the last video I did. It's not gonna work out at all, because men need to feel respected, from what I have learned, especially from listening to others who are successful in their marriages and are being kept women and know the game or whatever. Like what I just said, men need to feel respected, not women, but men, okay? So the roles being reversed, it's going to be kind of Okay. So, yeah, like, that's just all it means is trust. You just trust in your man to lead the whole family and be the sole provider of the family and do what he's supposed to do. I mean, it's so simple. It's not that hard to look into. And also, the reason why I agree with Fantasia on submission is because sometimes some women don't know how to play their role as a woman. Like, they're uncomfortable with that word submission. And I know automatically, even some of the women in the dating app community, like, they automatically think, oh, I'm going to be his sex slave, and I'm going to have to cook and clean and work hard, because if he's taking care of the bills, which is like not a big deal, you know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, you go to work, okay, but then I have to slave at home. No, that is not the case at all, because at the end of the day, that's why in the first place, you need to get with the right kind of man. First of all, you need to get with someone who's more in love with you than you are with them, and that's no shade, no tea to men, but it's just like, men don't love like women love. So you have to get someone who's really in, like they are really into you, because in that case, you would get a man who would not only financially fully care for you and your kids or the family or whatever. You'll get someone who will also be respectful, who's not gonna work you like a mule in the house either. Because I know that there are some women who do put up with that, in which they're in a relationship and they're submitting because their man is paying for everything, but at home, he's like, yeah, you better have that food on the table, you better this, you better that, and that's just a toxic situation, and I don't agree with that. Like, that's not a situation where I'm like, well, at least he's paying the bills. No, he needs to be respectful. You got to get with someone that you're going to be happy with, because there's no point of getting with the man who's paying all the bills and he's beating you upside your head, or he's forcing you to have sex with him and you don't want to have sex with him, or he's mistreating you in any way. I don't care what bill. I don't care if you paid my mama's bill. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you paid my mom, my daddy's bills, my whole family's bills, you paid for us to go to Disney World to live there. You're not going to disrespect me. No amount of money is going to allow to let a man disrespect me, because I don't see myself being put in that situation. I feel like when it comes to dating up, people kind of get it twisted that just because we're going or aiming for a man who we want to be able to take care of the family and financially provide and giving them that responsibility, that automatically that us women would be okay with putting up with other stuff, and that's just not the case. So I think people kind of get it twisted there. Like, you still need to be respected at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that you don't have a part to play as a wife or a kept woman or a kept girlfriend in the relationship, but still, you need to get with someone who loves you more than you love them, because at the same time, that man is supposed to respect you. He's supposed to treat you right. He's supposed to want you to stay, not want to make you leave. That's the same thing as having a 9-to-5 that's paying you or a career that's paying you six figures, but you're not happy. You know, oh, you're getting a lot of money, but you're not happy. And at the end of the day, I think that's people get that confused in the dating community. I know that we're not supposed to be in our emotions, and we're supposed to think logically and want more for our, think about our finances. And that's the whole point. But then again, you want to be happy overall, because at the end of the day, money is amazing. I speak life into money and all that good stuff. But also, money is so amazing and it's so abundant that there's more than one ways to get it. And there's more than one man to get it from. You don't just have to be with a loser. Because I think a man who is forcing you to submit to him or is being abusive in any way, even if he is taking care of anything, that's just not worth it at all. And I know I keep going on and on about it, but I think some women in the dating up, especially, women who are young like me, who are so impressionable, they may think that, oh, he got money, it's okay for him to hit me upside the head, or it's okay for him to talk to me a certain kind of way, or it's okay to feel like a prisoner in your own home. That is not okay. There's so much abundance of money and men with careers and men who would treat you right, who will take care of you, that it's just not worth it to stay with somebody who is just treating you like crap. And I just had to get that out there. I think that's important. That's why I'm rambling on about it, but just had to put that out there. But back to it, back to the role that we have to play as women. Sometimes we have to take on a background cheerleader role, and then come out into our shell when it comes into a relationship, as far as when it comes to submission, because sometimes when you get with a man, from what I see is that, especially when you get with a man who has like a lot of money and he's on the forefront and he has a really great career, like, you're gonna have to play that background part, and that, I feel like that's a part of submitting too. Like, it's not about giving up all your hopes and your dreams, but sometimes you may have to play a little bit of the background, and then you come out in the forefront. And an example of this is like with Monique Samuels, the lady off of Real Housewives of Potomac, and I have a video coming up of that too, so stay tuned. But she even said that with Chris, her husband Chris, he's a football player, and she had to play this like cheerleader background role, I guess, I don't know, like bringing snacks to him, just little stuff like that, just being there because he's taking care of everything. So this is the least that I can do. And that's something that she wanted to do. And also another example is like Erica Jane off of the Real Housewives of, it's either New York or Beverly Hills. I don't know which one. I think it's Beverly Hills. But her too, she played a background for 8 years with her husband. And I'm not saying that any woman has to do that, because you have to choose what's best for you. But she, had to submit and play that, a smaller role, that womanly role, her woman's role, her wife's role, because her husband was a big time lawyer. And so she had to play a background. And then finally, she got to come out of her shell and do her whole Erica Jane persona. And her husband was very supportive of that. And you can tell he is definitely way more in love with her. And it's just a good situation. Like, that's the type of situation where you would submit to your husband. There's even in Erica Jane's book, I don't know if I want to give this away, but I'm just going to spoiler alert. But in Erica Jane's book, there was even in there where he said, look, if you're going to be married to me, I don't want to have to wear my wedding ring, and something about I want to buy you diamonds. Like, I don't want you to pick out your own diamonds. I want to be able to pick out all your diamonds. And I feel like, okay, that's not a big deal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because when men are leaders, when men pay for everything, they're gonna have certain things that's their way of doing things. And either you're gonna go along with it or you're not, period. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Okay, and also another one I want to use. Now, y'all may get up on me about this, but another example of where the woman submits to the man and kind of plays the background role or whatever, and then, come out of her shell or whatever. I want to say Tammy Rivera, I think that's her name, and people may not like that example because they're like, well, Waka Flocka cheated on her, and that's not a good example. But look, at the end of the day, it's like, look... you put up with what you choose your battles as a woman. I'm not saying that it's worth it for you. I'm not saying that it's okay for a man to cheat even if he is paying for everything, and it's okay to submit to a man who's cheating although he's paying for everything. It's up to you. Like, you should go with the best logical choice. Like, don't get all up in your emotions and your feelings, but you should go with the best logical choice that will make you happy and that is good for you. And I think that's what people need to get at the end of the day. It's what's good for you as an individual overall. You know, forget your feelings, you know, and being all up in your emotions, but what is best for you overall. You get what I'm saying? Hopefully you do. And then the last thing is, submission can only be given to a man who fully takes care of everything financially and is respectful to you. That's why I agree with Fantasia, because I'm like, you know, if she meant that you just submit to any man and that's why you're not getting a man because you're just not submitting to the dude over here who's on the corner selling drugs, and no, like, I don't agree with just submitting to any man just so you can keep him. But I feel like, yeah, a woman is going to naturally go into that role when she has a man who is doing what he's supposed to do. And my thing is, why is she said your man. So in my head, I'm like, oh, I agree with her, because if someone's going to be my man, I mean like my man, I don't mean like we're dating and you're paying for stuff here and there and da-da-da. No, I mean my man, and we're living together and all that stuff, and you're taking care of everything. Okay, cool. You're my man. I'm just naturally going to shift into that role. You know, like when a guy tells you to quit your job and you fully trust him and you're together, you're in a committed relationship, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay or are you going to go? Okay, so I'm just saying, a lot of people may disagree with me, but who cares? But let me know your thoughts, and y'all have a good one. Hey, before you leave, make sure that you comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Or depending on where you're listening to this, make sure you follow this channel. And also, don't forget to share this with your peoples. Be sure you click on that notification bell so you can get an update on the next video, because it's going to be juicy.